Welcome to Blood in the Snow Radio, where we give you the latest news and interviews with the best in Canadian genre cinema. Here are your hosts, Robert Bellamy and Festival Director Kelly Michael Stewart.
Blood in the Snow 2023 continues. I've got a repeat guest, which is awesome. I'll get you guys to introduce yourselves.
Sure, I'm Robert Cuffley, the director and composer of tonight's film, Romi.
Excellent.
I'm Linda Nainaar, one of the producers of Romi, that's playing tonight as well.
Excellent. And yeah, this is a big jump from Penny Whistle for you.
Yeah, it's my sixth movie, so I've done the jump, but this is more important to me because it's my second horror. Now that I've kind of found my niche and found my people. So yeah, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't excited. I actually am.
Yeah. Well, I just meant topic-wise too, because before it was the
right. Yeah. So we did a short 3 years ago on an iPhone 6, and I did it because I was teaching some university kids, and they were whining about I can't do a short because we don't have the blah 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 the red whatever. I don't follow all that stuff. And I said, you guys, you have cell phones. Like, come on. Like, I grew up in prehistoric times and with Super 8 film, and I had to wait a month to even see if the footage was exposed properly. And that didn't stop me. So how can a cell phone stop you from experimenting when editing is free, music is free, if you've got something like GarageBand? And so anyways, I think we lucked out a bit. The writer, Susie Maloney, I'm not sure if you remember her, but we hit on this AI thing. She hit on it more than me, and the timing was really good, and then we got the movie funded.
Excellent. Yeah, this is a beautiful topic.
Yeah.
And it was nicely put together.
Thank you.
Just the story elements itself. Because the first thing you got to do is you got to get the person in the house.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea of this hit and run with, a congressperson or like a political person going, I can't have you around me. Right?
Who's your own mother?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there was I should get the names, but the thing in the States where those parents were paying off colleges to get their kids in, and they were kind of illustrious, powerful people, that gave me the idea, and I pitched it to Susie. Like, what if someone to get her to dust this problem under the rug gets her put into this house? Because you need someone to go into the haunted house and, for one reason or another, be trapped inside.
Yeah.
And so that was the method through which we did that.
And excellent. Now, being a producer, what was it about the script that you said, yeah, we have to do this. I have to be part of this?
Well, honestly, because it's so topical. And I'd known Robert for a few years, and we've been talking about, me coming on board to produce. And thinking about AI just in general, and then the vulnerability that we all have with it, whether you're trapped in a house, whether you're in your car, or whether, Siri starts speaking to you. Mm-hmm. That is what really intrigued me about the whole thing, that this could happen to anyone, especially now that it's growing so exponentially. Yep. Like yesterday, in my mind, we were just talking on the phone, and today I can FaceTime, to Australia. So it's so topical. And then bringing it really inside into such a small space where Maddie, is so tiny, and she doesn't know what is happening to her, and we don't know all of the time. And that really intrigued me a lot.
Yeah, well, like you said, this whole AI and the automations of homes. I went to my buddy's house, and he's like, Google Lights, and the lights came on. It's like, no, I would never. I've seen too many horror movies. So,
in fact, yeah, so it was tough to come up with, because this is supposedly supposed to be an advanced smart home, but what do you come up with that isn't already out there? So I started researching what is about to come out. And one thing we came up with was urine analysis, which is strange, but it's coming. So a toilet can analyze your urine or your other thing and tell you, hey, you've got diabetes on its way, or, and that's really fascinating, but equally invasive, right?
Yeah.
Especially if you're a young... she plays early 20s, I would say, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you're on your own, and you're vulnerable, and you start to feel gaslit. Am I seeing things? Am I hearing things? Oh, it must be the AI. Never for a second acknowledging that there might be a supernatural presence involved.
Well, that's just it. Like, really, you walk in, say Google Lights, and lights come on. That does seem supernatural just on the face. You know,
Totally.
There's
Yeah, that's
computers
true.
behind it, but it's magic.
And I think with my kids, like they grow up and this is normal. And sometimes I just have to pull them aside and say, guys, listen, this is not normal. You're talking on a phone that bounces stuff off of satellites just so you can reach someone else. Like you have to appreciate the before to understand the before you can appreciate the after. But of course they grow up with it, so it's commonplace.
Well, like Jeff Goldblum said, you're standing on the shoulders of the people that came before you, and you don't realize what they've done.
Right. Is that The Fly?
No, actually, Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park, okay.
Yeah. That's a very profound film for being fiction. But
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, it is.
Is it fiction? No, I'm just kidding.
Well,
How long will it be fiction?
Exactly.
Just a sidebar, I'm big on the psychology of special effects, and I love how he made all of those believable, and how, in particular, I read a lot of films through my kids' reactions, and they've watched that first one probably 10 or 11 times, and the sequels, it's just like, meh. And the way he mixed touching physical props in a way to help you digest the believability of a CGI character is just so phenomenal.
Oh, absolutely. And
that's Spielberg. He's going to go places.
I'm watching for him. Yes.
Yeah, just trust me. Give it a few years.
He's supposed to be here tonight.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Heard about Romi.
So with Romi, there was a lot of stuff in there that I noticed where not only do you know it's always listening, but it's also not listening, which I thought was a neat approach. What made you decide to go to the negative attention with your home automation?
Well, without giving too much away, the forces that be, whether they're AI or supernatural, have to find a reason to keep her in the house. I'm struggling to not give away too much, but so there are times when Romi effectively says, can't hear you, you know, like when she's having a panic attack and collapsing, and it just decides to not be helpful, which I think it's like when you ever really need Siri, she's like, I do not understand. And when you don't need her, she's like, donuts are on your immediate left. Like, yeah, at least that's my experience with it.
No.
So yeah, for a protagonist, you want to throw rocks at them. So this is when she really needs the AI's help. It's not there. So you have to see her tunnel her way out of it using her mind.
But it was a cool and I guess easy filming method to just not have it respond, which I found interesting, because normally in any kind of movie like this style, it's always saying something or always responding, whether it's negative or mean or whatever. But this one's just quiet, which to me adds to that level.
Oh, total. I agree. Yeah. Like, what are you on? Are you off? Yeah. I know you don't have like Siri stuff, do you, in your house?
No, I don't have any of that, and that's why
neither
another
do I.
reason it freaked me out so much.
But I do think it's funny where people come up to me and say, "Yeah, I'm definitely scared of that stuff learning too much about me." It's like, honey, that ship has left the dock. Like it knows everything already.
Exactly.
Everything.
I was sitting talking to some friends about an editing program, and it wasn't an hour later, I'm on YouTube, and ads are coming up for the editing suites that I was talking about.
Yep,
So
100%.
It's always there.
And the way that sneaks up on you is they do it very gradually. So if it happened overnight, you'd be upset. But the fact that it takes 18 months to kind of implement itself, I always think it's like the implementation of, I don't know if you're old enough to remember when they started playing commercials ahead of movies. I remember. And I think if people were immediately pissed off, as I am now, they would have stopped it. But because we gradually accepted it, it's now the norm. Even on my flight, I'm sidetracking here, to Toronto here, there's like 7 minutes of ads where you can't turn off the audio, and the screen is 4 inches from your face. Like, it's so invasive, and there's nothing you can do.
Yeah, but you're right. In the theaters, there was one ad, boom. And then a couple years later, there's 2 ads.
Yeah, it happens gradually.
Yeah. And now it's 25 minutes before you get to the film.
Yeah, you're not worried about being late anymore.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You purposely show up 10 minutes after the start time so you can avoid all that.
Super obnoxious.
We're the frog in the water, right? Like we're slowly...
Yeah, that's a good point.
We don't understand what's actually happening, because how can we?
Yep.
We can't even get our text right without autocorrect.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So little things like that, to me, really shows what's out there. If we can't control our own phones,
Yeah.
what can we really control?
And
Who's controlling
they're
whom?
getting smarter and able to control the thoughts of us. Because
and we are not. We're relying
Yep.
on other things, right? As opposed to exposing our own brains.
how much technology did you rely on to make this film?
Oh, tons. The most difficult thing was, I'm sure your listeners know the difference between practical and post effects, but we wanted there's a lot of screens in this, a lot of touching screens and tablets, and I wanted the actors to be able to physically see them, as opposed to say, okay, imagine that there's a game of Pong in the midst of happening. But so we were able to program some of those, but there was so much that we had to do in post-production, which was a complete nightmare because we were a small budget, as most Canadian films. And so post took a little longer than we had hoped. But it eventually worked. And we're quite happy with it.
Here, 1 second. There, just flip that one on.
Thank you for joining us, Colin Sheldon.
Happy to be here.
Colin is the lead producer of Romi, who just walked in very late.
Yes, I'll get you to introduce yourself real quick.
Not very late, just making sure the film is ready for tonight, sort of late.
Okay.
That's
fair.
right.
Fair.
That's right.
He's fashionably late.
Okay.
So what made you sign on to this project?
Well, Robert and Cuffley and I had done a film prior to this, Bright Hill Road, and it was great working together. Like I thought we made a good team. I thought the film we made was really well put together, and it was like, hey, let's do this again. And having the film based on such a successful short film meant that it already had some interest, and so that made it a little bit easier to push forward with it.
What are the logistics on the production side of doing something like this, where it's all in a house, but it's a super advanced house?
It's quite a long process to try and find the right location. We had a few that fell through, and then eventually, the house. I think it was actually a friend of Robert's that knew the owners, and so we approached them, and we were able to work out a deal to be in there. I think for them, just kind of being part of a movie was exciting, and also they were looking to sell the house, and so I think they were kind of excited about the prospect of having some promotion on the house that no other house really has. So,
Well, yeah, adds to, featured in the film, you can now own it.
Yep.
Well, and also regarding the house itself, we were lucky in a sense that it was staged. Like the house looked like that. They already had all of those things inside the house.
Oh, that's
so
excellent.
The other two houses falling through was a blessing, in disguise. When we actually found that, it's like, we do not have to stage this. It's set up.
Because the house was gorgeous.
It is.
The one scene I'm curious on, though, was the birds. There's a scene where a few of them hit the glass. How was that to prep and actually shoot?
Well, we felt bad that we had to, hurt those birds.
That's not true. Don't say that.
So that's something I'm kind of relatively new at, but I'm experienced enough to know that trying to do that with props is an exercise. It's like peeing in the wind. It's just going to take forever. And so we briefly thought about projecting fake birds a la David Letterman shooting T-shirts into the air with one of those T-shirt cannons. And then we decided, because this was shot in 12 days, so we had to move like grease lightning.
12 days?
Yeah.
Wow.
Decided to go to do it in post, which meant Alexa had to react to something that wasn't there, which as an actor I'm sure sucks, but she did very well.
And I got to admit,
Thank
it's
goodness.
probably safer for glass, too, if you start
Yeah.
firing stuff against glass.
Yeah, even birds at a high enough, they can crack it for sure. So yeah, and there's something I've always thought delicate about birds, especially songbirds. I've got a soft spot for them. And just seeing that there's like a graveyard of them when you wake up the next morning is like such a bummer.
No, it would be.
Yeah.
Because you're right, it's the fragileness of them.
Yeah.
Was that always part of the script, or was this something you added once you saw the environment?
Can you remember?
It was pretty early on that was in there.
Okay. And to be honest, it's kind of a trope. I get that. But I may have resisted it at first, but it seems to work so well.
Well, and that's why I wondered if it was elemental. Like when you got in, you saw what you had, it was added, because that glass wall is exactly what you need for that scene.
Yeah. Well, I wanted the location to be like an aquarium, like a fish tank, so anyone can see in to increase her vulnerability, which I think worked because she's like a tiny specimen in a big white and black lab. And being observed by who knows how many cameras, and that really helps sell how vulnerable she is. And Alexa's also a slight woman, and she's young, and she's just had something terrible happen to her, so everything adds up to being, in a very precariously vulnerable position where she has to, by the end, she's really, fought a couple rounds and come out with a TKO, I guess, and is still on her feet. So yeah, she's a final girl.
And I have to ask, you said Alexa. Is that the actor's name?
Yeah, Alexa Barajas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's from the show The Flash and more recently Yellow Jackets.
It's just interesting in a movie about AI, your main actress is named Alexa.
That's why I cast her.
Yeah. Don't know if you can act, but your name works.
Yeah, no, I'm teasing. I had to have someone point out the irony of that to me, but because it just didn't occur to me. But yeah, weird, hey?
There was a Siri that also...
Oh,
no,
really?
No.
Oh, see, this would have been awesome.
Yeah.
So now, back production-wise, too, was there any hurdles that you guys, once you saw his script, you're looking at this script going, I don't know if we can do this?
Well, the house was a big one.
Yeah.
Because you can't just, borrow someone's bungalow. Like, it needs to be something spectacular. And then also just the technology element. There's a lot of screens that are displaying stuff that, needed to, play at a particular time. I had worked on another project where we tried to do all screen replacement, and it ended up being a bit of a nightmare in post. So this time we're like, we want to do as much in camera as possible. Well, it's funny, we just went for a QC, and they flagged some of the screens as the tracking being off. I'm like, there's no tracking. That was on the screen. Like, I don't know what you're seeing there, but it's not a mistake. So yeah, a lot of it was done, and which took a little bit of extra time in shooting, but saved us a lot of time in post.
Yeah, I was just going to say, because sometimes I get the whole practicality, but wouldn't you find certain camera angles, or depending on where lights are, it would glare and it would cause
reflection?
issues?
Yeah, huge. So there was a lot of ducking from the crew, and I think some erasing of reflections, but it wasn't that bad. It just kind of everyone had to be on high alert. I see you, especially the tall boom people.
And I guess it's easier to go in and erase a few people than 100% of all the plates had to be screened in.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy how easy, not to say it's simple, but some of that is within the consumer's reach without being a VFX artist that you can do. Like, I even helped, and I'm by no means a VFX artist, just with some very basic stuff. Colin did some as well, and then we had a couple proper VFX people that helped us with green screen and more in-depth composites, that sort of thing. But then again, I like shadows. I find that the most effective, as opposed to, like, I'm sure you've heard this 1,000 times, but in Signs, I love the movie Signs, but there's a big letdown when you see the creature at the end. Because it's like, I would rather have this play in the theater of my mind, and as soon as I see it, it's, oh, really? Really? Shit.
Yeah.
So we tried to use that to our advantage. Shadows, noises in the night, all play with more effectiveness than seeing a lumbering ghost crawl out to you,
Excellent.
And that can work, like in The Ring or something, but it's not the approach we wanted.
And that's exactly what happens here, because like you said, you don't know if it's on, it's off, you can't see it. Which is brilliant. Well, guys, thank you so much, and congratulations on the film.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I expect a lot, because it's an amazing film.
Oh, thanks very much. And we're excited to show it, right?
We're really
Absolutely.
excited to show it. We're excited to be here. Thanks so much for having
Thanks
us.
for Deadly Grounds for this delicious coffee.
Right.
And for the milk alternative. Yay.
Anytime you guys want to come back on the show, please let me know.
Okay, what about this afternoon?
Yes.
We can
I'll
just
pencil
stay.
you in.
Yeah, well, let's just stay.
Alrighty.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
You got it.
Thanks.
Join us next time for Blood in the Snow Radio. Bits Radio is a production of Three Evil Cats Productions in association with the Blood in the Snow Canadian Film Festival. For more information and to listen to other episodes, visit bloodinthesnow.ca and tweet us at BitsFilmFest. Music by Jen Gorman, produced and edited by Kelly Michael Stewart. I am Eduardo Correa Lima.